Watched the chances, broke smartly, but so did Terra from the Cape. On the inside, Sky Lantern, the grey going well. If he can get through. Sky Lantern, the grey, looking for somewhere to run. Wide open. It's Terra from the Cape hanging on. Terra from the Cape tries to go all the way. On the outside now, here comes Flotilla in the light blue. Flotilla is absolutely flying. Watch the chances in there too. But Flotilla has gone right on by. And Flotilla is coming home to score. Flotilla has won it just about 2 in the end. It'll be Watch the Chances, Summer of Fun, coming on to finish third.
Live from the backstretch at Saratoga, this is the Handicappers Report. The Handicappers Report is brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922, 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. The new Capital OTB wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with the new Capital OTB wagering platform. And CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State.
Good morning and welcome to the Wednesday Handicappers Report. Brian Nadeau, bringing Mike Callahan in a second as we kick off week 4. It's Whitney week at Saratoga. Weather looks, knock on wood, good and promising after we've had a heck of a run here with rain and cooler temperatures, but we're up in the high 70s to low 80s, I think, for the rest of the week. The forecast looks good, and it's an exciting week, as you know, Whitney week always here at the Spy. I think it's the second biggest week of the meet. I'll bring in my partner, Mike Callahan, and we were talking off the air, Mike, a loaded schedule on Saturday. Certainly the Whitney, the Grade 1 Saratoga Derby, the Test as well. A lot of people's favorite race at the meet for the 3-year-old fillies sprinting. So a lot to look forward to. Maxfield front and center on Saturday in the Whitney.
Absolutely, and also the sort of wild card with Swiss Skydiver running in there as well, but it looks to be a loaded card on Saturday. Lots to look forward to. Also the cutback with search results. We were kind of going over off air, what was going to happen this weekend, but some big names and see how it all plays out. But a big week coming up.
Yeah, without a doubt. She cut back in the Acorn and looked good, winning game second to Malathat in the Kentucky Oaks, and Chad Brown cut her back in the Acorn, and she looked really good winning that one. And she'll cut back another furlong on Saturday in the Test, and she's a quite decorated 3-year-old filly. She'll be a lot to beat. There's, Bob Baffert is shipping a horse in.
Right, that's going to be headline galore.
Little drama on Saturday in the Test, but that'll be interesting. I know he's not coming here on Saturday, I did read, but and then the Derby as well with Bolshoi Ballet coming back. Looked good winning the Belmont Derby.
Yeah. Swept the card a couple weeks ago down at Belmont.
Yep. So it's a lot to look forward to on the weekend. I think the Whitney shaping up strongly. Maxfield, a lot of people think Maxfield's the best handicap horse in the country, especially with not his stablemate, but with his Godolphin group, with Godolphin and Mystic Guide now out for the rest of the year. Listen, I like Maxfield too, but he's yet to answer the bell in a Grade 1 this year as he went out to California and really threw in a clunker when he was third in the big cap. So Silver State, I believe, has won six in a row for Steve Asmussen. You mentioned Swiss Skydiver. Knicks Go got back on the 2-turn beam at Prairie Meadows and ran off the screen for Brad Cox. So it will not be easy in the Whitney.
Honestly, they're going to have to come get Knicks Go. I mean, obviously laid an egg in the Met Mile, but he stretched back out. Cornhusker, sort of a confidence builder again. But, when he gets into rhythm, he's tough to catch.
Absolutely. So, and Brad said that, too. He said, you know what, we kind of know now that the 1 turn is not our thing. Don't forget the Breeders' Cup Mile, Dirt Mile last year was 2 turns. So Knicks Go, as you mentioned, and perfectly said, they're going to have to come catch him, put the running shoes on to come get him in the Whitney, which is shaping up a compact field, but some star power. It's cool to see Swiss Skydiver in there as well. She had that quarantine issue at Kenny McPeak's barn that all his horses did, and Kenny is as true a sportsman as we have here, and obviously she won the Preakness, and it'll be a tall task. I believe 1988 was the last time the Personal Ensign won the Whitney, and Lady Secret did it, I think, in '86. So it's been done before. Sharina Song should have did it in 1996 when she led every jump but the last. So Swiss Skydiver will try to make history on Saturday.
Yeah, and if she runs back to the Preakness against Authentic, where she just went toe-to-toe with Authentic, we saw what he ended up doing later on in the season. She's a player. She's sort of the wild card in this field. The Distaff Division Strongs. She Dares the Devil actually went out to the West Coast.
Good.
Took on their best.
Looked very
and
good.
She looks awesome. So, Latruska, She Dares the Devil, Swiss Skydiver, all those horses, very, very good. And, she's going to test the boys. Wasn't plan A, obviously, with the, the quarantine issue that they had. But, they'll take their shot and see where she falls. But she's certainly a player if she runs her A race.
Yeah, and as you said, on her day, and it's she didn't miss a lot of training, so that bodes well. I mean, Kenny got a good stiff work in her the other day. On her day, as you mentioned, she's got plenty of races that stack up with this group. Listen, it's a nice Whitney. We know how good Maxfield is and all these other horses, but she is not out of her element on her best day.
And I actually think if you just kind of envisioning how the race is going to set up, Nixco goes, Maxfield sort of eyes him, Silver State sort of eyes him, and Swiss Skydiver just gets lost in the shuffle. Maybe they're all eyeing each other, and then they forgot about her. She slips up the rail or whatever she wants to do, but she's obviously a rateable horse, and we've seen it played out time and time again up here with Malathaat going down in the graveyard of favorites.
Good point.
I think last year there was a heavy favorite and a probable end up getting the job done, and then he went on his run.
Well, Al's horse didn't break. Tom's Day Top didn't break, and the race was over for him at the start at odds on in the Whitney. So that's a good point. The stars are here as they are all summer, and the Whitney brings it every year as it did last year, as you mentioned, champion Improbable, and very likely there's a good chance that if Maxfield wins, he is odds on for horse of the year, at least at this point, and he'll be a strong favorite on Saturday. I don't think he has to win, though, so we'll get to that.
Looking forward, kind of looking back now, what were your thoughts? Interesting.
Yeah, thank you.
Your thoughts on Essential Quality?
He's a weird horse. I had a great score with him last year in the juvenile, so my point is, you would think, man, I love this horse. I can't get a grip on him. I was dead set against him in the Derby. Listen, I understand he ran about 1.25 miles on Saturday. I get that, and he was wide, but the pace of the Jim Dandy was suicidal, and there was no pace at all on paper. And he was wide off the turn, and I know Keep Me in Mind skirted up the rail. And maybe the rail was good on Saturday, but I don't know. He kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. If you're planning on running in the Travers and you're not Essential Quality, I sure as heck don't think you left the Jim Dandy saying, oh boy, we can't beat that horse.
No, but I also think that a lot of people already thought he may be just that grinding type, which is exactly what he did. Yeah. And he's never going to wow you with a 6-length performance or an unbelievable, breakaway type speed. He's just a grinder. But, Luis Saez even said, I was sort of pushing him around the far turn, and he sort of just grinded everybody down. Like you said, Keep Me in Mind, came up the rail. But even after, when he was talking with Maggie after the race, he said he really wasn't even breathing that hard.
Yeah,
it's just sort of the way that he just runs. Yeah. And, he got the job done, at Keeneland and in the prep for the Derby. No one was wowed by that because he won. Yeah, the Bluegrass. And, I actually think it was a little bit better of a performance than people may think at this point, but we'll see how it plays out, and that's why it's the greatest game in the world to have the opinions and see if you can make your stand here in a couple weeks.
You know who I thought ran really big in that race, and he's not getting a lot of publicity? I thought Mascot Parade ran huge because he was the only one of the three-ply speed duel that hung around. He got interfered with late. It didn't cost him anything, but it probably cost him about being a length closer to the top two. And, that was his first start against, real horses. Yeah, he won. I mean, he beat Keep Me in Mind last time in the Indiana Derby. And I really thought he answered the bell. I don't know what that means in the Travers and if he can turn the tables on Essential Quality and other good horses as well. But I thought he ran sneaky big in the Jim Dandy, and I'm not going to give up on him yet. He's going to get a lot of seasoning out of that.
No, he is, absolutely. And now he had been a horse that had been on a tear. He had that unbelievable performance down at Churchill. Like you said, he won the Ohio Derby, I believe, at Thistle Downs.
Yeah, Ohio Derby.
Yeah, the Ohio Derby at
Indiana.
Thistle Downs, yep. And, came here as sort of the wise guy horse going into the race. And he didn't lose anything in his performance. No. Third beat in a couple lengths. Like you said, it was sort of educational, get a chance to move forward from that. And we'll see ultimately how the Travers race develops now. Because like you said, if you're taking that point of view where you're not fearful of Essential Quality, take your shot. We'll see how it plays out. And I think it's going to be a good race.
Yeah, he ran a 98 on Saturday, if that's your thing, buyer speed figure. And obviously, Brad, it was a means to an end. It was a race to get him to the Travers. So I'm sure, he clearly wasn't 100% cranked. But, at the end of the day, a 98's not, that, we're going to run 1X's that they run 98s up here. So, yeah, I do think maybe it enticed a few extra people to say, you know what, for what, $1.25 million in arguably the second biggest 3-year-old race in the country, yeah, we'll throw our hat in the ring. So
yeah.
I think,
and that's fair. That's fair. Right. It's a fair assessment, and that's what you want to do. Is you want to have different horses coming from all over the place. And we were talking off air on who we thought would potentially go, and I think we're gonna have a clearer picture here in the next couple of weeks. And again, just Essential Quality is still at the top of the list.
There's no doubt about that. Regardless of how you view that performance on Saturday, he's still something to 5 in the Midsummer Derby, which will be run in 25 days or so. Never too early to talk about the Travers.
And then we also got to mention Lexingtonian.
Yeah, you know what? It was awesome. Jack Sisterson, if you're not familiar with Jack, I didn't know him, and he came on Saturdays at the Spa last year, and I texted a few people. I said, hey, this Jack Sisterson guy? I'd like to get him on. And everybody I texted and talked to just basically said one thing: he's like the greatest guy you'll ever meet in your life. And he came on the show, and he was the greatest guy you'll ever meet in your life. And he's the nicest guy. He does everything but credit himself. He credits everybody. And Lexingtonian, that was Jack's 3rd Grade 1 win as a trainer, because he won last year when, oh man, my memory's just gone. He upset the Personal Ensign, and he upset Steve Asmussen's horse at a big Vexatious, at a big upset. That was his 1st Grade 1. Then he came back, Channel Cat won the Man Award, and then certainly Lexingtonian on Saturday, and we caught him. I was with a few people on Saturday night, and he picked up in our wake, and he hung out with us for like 2 hours.
That's awesome.
It was great.
That's
Walking
awesome.
around having a couple of drinks, but he's such a nice guy, and if even Anthony and I were on. If you can't root for Jack Sisterson, you're doing something wrong.
Right? Yeah, exactly. You shouldn't be rooting at all. Yeah. So that was an unbelievable performance.
It was,
because, like you said, we talked about it. They were flying up front. We thought all the closers had the advantage, and Special Reserve actually took the lead by a half length mid-stretch, and Lexingtonian just got gutsy on the rail, came back and got the job done. Big price. We talk about pick 5s, and we'll talk about it when we talk about the Wednesday card here. Late pick 5 with, you could have said Essential Quality.
It was a free
at the
square.
Price free square, exactly. I didn't want to say that, but it could have been a free square, $10,000, 50 cents. And all you really had to do was find Lexingtonian or hit the all button there, and then everything else sort of played out from there. But a big sequence on Saturday and a big performance by Lexingtonian.
It was great to see. It really was a big effort. And when that horse runs his race, he's tough. He doesn't always do it. And if you read some of Jack's quotes, it's kind of seems like it's a little struggle sometimes to get him to run his race. But when he does, he's a major player. Quickly before we kick this card off, you mentioned the pick 5. I know you play that a lot, and I know that's my bet. Saturday was a perfect example. You don't have to beat a favorite in the pick 5 to score out. Pick 4 now, you got to probably beat 2 favorites to make a decent, sizable score. Pick 5, you just have to hit the darn thing, especially when they're putting 1-5 in these pools. Not even really on Saturday, pretty much on a day-in, day-out basis. Both pools, early and late, are going over $1 million. And
we have to mention that on Saturday they have the middle pick.
The middle one,
Yeah, the middle one. Back-to-back Saturdays, it paid over $30,000. Now, you did have to beat Malathot 2 weeks ago, where it sort of ballooned to be the 30,000. But last week, you just had price upon price upon price. But they were reasonable horses that you could have seen on paper and took a shot with. Came back 35,000 for 50 cents.
When you have 4s and 5s and 6-to-1s in the pick 5, and a lot of people think, oh, that's not a big price. In the pick 5, it's attrition.
Yes.
And with each race, you just knock out that many more tickets, and it's just attrition. And if you get one big number like Lexingtonian was, and listen, I didn't have a cent on him, so I'm not redboarding here. I didn't have a penny on him. But if you get one big number, you can still use essential quality to your advantage.
Yep.
Take the quote-unquote free square and still have a heck of a hit.
And I think the biggest point you're kind of mentioning is what you're seeing with the actual win value is not what it plays like in the pick 5.
Absolutely.
So you see a horse at 4-to-1, but maybe there was a 4-to-5 shot in there.
Right.
You're probably getting double that 4-to-1 in the pick 5 play. So that's where, as like a handicap, you start to say, well, I see this win price here, but what am I actually getting in the pool?
Yeah.
And then you can kind of format it from there. And like you said, you beat one horse, it pays decent. You beat 2 horses, now you're starting to get into that realm. You beat 3 horses, now you're talking, potentially a couple tickets in the entire pool.
And that's a good, just a good little promo for when Anthony Mormino and I are on here at Racing Across America on Thursdays. We've really been breaking down those kind of sequences, how to construct tickets, how to play it with an ABC format. And that's right. If you can get to the 3rd or 4th level in a race, meaning if you beat the 4-to-5 and you beat the 5-to-2 and you get to that 5 or 6-to-1, that horse can be 12, 15-to-1 in those sequences because the budget players, they can't go 3 deep. Yeah,
Absolutely.
They can all try to beat a favorite and go 2 deep. You get to that 3rd and onward level, and then you're really starting to blow things up.
Agree. And that's case in point would be Lexingtonian. Well, he paid $70. He probably was 100-to-1 in the pick 5 because you had the free square and it paid $10,000 for 50 cents, so it's $40,000 for $2.
Yep.
So at that point, he's it's 100-to-1 in
Big
pick
number.
5. So that's the fun part of it, especially when you've gotten past those legs. You're 4 or 5 deep going into the final leg, and then you can start to hedge from there. So that's where horse racing becomes, you're alive. Do you hedge? And that's what Seth does a lot of the times with his bankrolls, so that you're ensuring that you make a profit. And that's the best part about the game is you can sort of play at many different angles.
Yeah,
so.
Especially at the end of a pick 5 when you can see what you're
Exactly.
alive
We
to.
can see what you're alive to, what you've already invested, sort of where you can meet in the middle, and sort of sort it out from there.
All right, let's kick off week 4 here at the Spa. We've got the traditional steeplechase opener at 105. So this is not going to kick off the pick 5. Don't forget that now. The pick 5 will kick off at about 1:38 in the p.m. with race 2, but the opener is a 2L for the hurdle horses going up 2 1/16 miles.
I have it 4, 3, 6, and 2. This was a fun race to break down. You and I go to the NSA website, the National Steeplechase, and we watched the video archive. And I took a look at everybody's race, and there are a bunch of horses that just broke their maiden. I watched a couple of races from Tryon. I watched a couple of races from Great Meadows, Percy Warner, just to see all these tracks were fun. I thought Silver Crescent, his race last time out, was phenomenal. He won that race by 6 3/4. Go back if you can to the website, watch the race. He was finishing up straight and strong. That was going 2 miles down at Tryon. I think he's a horse that has some back class. He sort of had a gap in his races for a year and a half, but he seems to be putting it together. There was a horse that was winging on the front end by about 25. He actually ended up hanging on to finish 3rd. So that, to me, kind of proved that race was actually pretty good in this spot. We're going to get value in here at 5-to-1. And, again, I just love the way he finished up in that race. I'll put him on top. The 3, Ritzy AP, who's probably going to go off at post time as the favorite, was able to get the job done in the second career start, jumping down at Colonial. That was an interesting race. There was a horse that was loose. When you watch the replay, he sort of was interfering with the horse on the outside. Ritzy AP was able to sort of shoot up the rail, got a little distance. I'm not sure ultimately if he would have won by 6 1/4 like he did what you see on paper. But again, go back and watch these replays, sort of make your own assessment. He's clearly a horse that has some backlash. He faced Set Piece, who's just been on a tear. So, this horse has some backlash races. He's going to be the favorite in here, and he's deserved one at 5-2. I'll put the 3, Ritzy AP, in the second spot. And then Lemonade Thursday, who was a horse that's been jumping 4 times, made the seasonal debut in May. Finished third against some good horses, including repeat. I just thought maybe needed that race, can make a step forward. Another one at a good price in here at 5-1. Make a little bit of a stand against the 2 in this spot, and I see you do as well, who's going to take some money for Thomas Garner and Leslie Young. But I was definitely interested in the 4 Silver Crest, and I have a 4, 3, 6, and 2.
3-5-1, Ritzy AP, a former Jack Sisterson horse, Calumet Farm Jack Sisterson. I'm going to have Tom Law on Racing Across America at 10:40. Saratoga Special and covering all those steeplechase guys. So we'll talk a little bit more about this race. I put Ritzy AP on top. I mean, I don't even have the 4 in my mix, and it's that kind of race. So as Mike alluded to, it looks like a really strong betting race. 3-5-1 for me in the opener.
Take a look at race number 2. It's a $20,000 maiden claim. We're going to go 7 furlongs on the dirt. You're going to see a short price on the morning line with Cousin Andrew. Interested to see what your thoughts were with him. I know. That was the first thing I said was, yeah.
The Chad horses aren't really firing.
And he plummets here.
Oh, man, he hasn't been out since April. He was running pretty okay in special weights. And then it went wrong in April, and here he is. Take him out of the barn for 20. And no thanks at 4-5. And boy, Javier Castellano can't get a lot going up here either. So I went with Mach 1, who might get loose for Danny Gargan. Second off the layoff. He's never been on the main track, but he's got some pedigree for it. Sensational on the bottom. Maybe he gets loose. Maybe he forgets to stop. You know, Luis Saez will give him an aggressive ride, and it's just basically playing against the favorite that I don't trust at all. Leading West in the mix as well, but I'll go 6-7-4. Again, early pick 5 time, and you're going to start it off with an odds-on horse. I'll tell you what, Mike, if this horse, Cousin Andrew, like opens up at 2-1 or something, run for the hills.
Exactly,
people.
absolutely.
Get out of
We
Dodge.
talk a lot of times about short price favorites and potentially making them singles. This is not the case. This is not the case.
Good point.
I have it 7-6-4. Now, I have him on top. Yes, he's run some good races against some good horses. Creed, 2 back, came back to win an allowance race at Belmont. You know, so he's faced some good competition. The Plummet, red flag. He's a first-time galley. Chad Brown does do well in these situations, but again, he hasn't had the strongest meet so far. Clearly, this horse, if you're just a buyer's person, is a horse that's going to be a serious contender. But at the price you're going to get, you know, you do want to look elsewhere. Mach 1, I thought, was an interesting horse, like you said. He's been training pretty well on the dirt. Yes, all his races have been on the turf. He's actually faced some good horses in the career debut against Kasim. Kasim's actually been running in some stakes company on the turf. Yes, it's an unknown, but you're looking for alternatives in here, right? If you're not thrilled with Cousin Andrew, I thought Mach 1 with some speed would be interesting. And then Leading West, horse that clearly had enough chances, 0 for 11, but another one that's been knocking on the door. And the career best race was in an off-the-turf event, so on the dirt at Gulfstream. Got a career best 78 buyer, just missed by an X. So he's won. Again, watch the board, see how it plays out. If these, you know, if the 4 and the 6 drop down, 7 drifts up, now you got to really cover yourself with all 3. But I had the same 3 in race number 2.
Race 3 kicks off the early pick 4, okay, again with the steeplechase as a start. It's one of those, it's not a maiden special weight like the form just tells you it is. You got to dig a little deeper. One of my pet peeves with the form. It is a maiden special weight for 2-year-old fillies, but it's one of those RNA races where all these horses have sold for 45 or less, okay? So you're not seeing the Coolmores, the Godolphins, you know, the Stone Streets in here. And you've got to make that, you got to make sure you check that because the racing form, I mean, they must need to charge us $12 because for $11 they're not designating that. So take note of that, 5.5 on the melon, okay?
I did 7, 6, 3, and 2. Gave a shot to Lavosa at 5-2, Safi Joseph. Bringing this horse up from Gulfstream. The workout pattern's been very strong. This horse was odds-on favorite in a race down at Gulfstream. It was 90 cents to the dollar. Sort of brushed the gate, lost all chance. I expect this horse to show a lot of speed in here. The sire Cantheros sired World of Trouble, if I remember. It was very, very good. Yeah. Dual surface, exactly. Dual surface, but World of Trouble clearly did a lot of damage on the turf. So we'll see if this horse is ready to go. Second time out for Safi, 25%. Gave him the edge in here. The 6th next Tuesday, who debuted down at Monmouth, and we actually saw him a couple weeks ago. We're going to see 2 horses that I have in my mix who raced 2 weeks ago. Next Tuesday, took a lot of money in that race I'm talking about up here at Saratoga a couple weeks ago, and didn't really run well. That was over good going. Now getting onto the turf course, but his career debut against Mainstay, he broke really well. He was second best that day. Mainstay came back and finished second at Schuylerville. I think he's a usable horse in here, and Luis Sai's just been an absolute tear.
Yeah,
so you don't want to use or don't want to leave him out in this point, especially in a wide open race like this, and then take the back roads in the third spot. He ran a real good race last time out to my play of the day that day, Let's Be Clear, for Brad Cox, but he's one that showed speed last time out. If he gets loose like he did last time out, he's going to be tough to beat, and he's a half to 2 turf winners as well, so 7, 6, 3, and 2.
The Mainstay is either the half or the full sister to Vequist, the 2-year-old filly champion of last year, Breeders' Cup winner. So that, that's a race that you should take note of. We've already seen quite a few horses come out of that race, even though it was at Monmouth. 2, 3, 7, 6. I've got the same ones, just to flip the order around a little bit. I didn't think it was a terrible idea to look for a firster in here, and Rusty Arnold doesn't win a lot with them, but there's some pedigree here for Lockstep. The dam's a full sister to Sarah Louise, who did some pretty good things for Godolphin about 10 years ago or so. She was a really classy runner, was more on dirt, but, again, I say this all the time, these 5.5 furlong turf sprints, I don't necessarily know how much grass pedigree plays into it. They're running as fast and as hard as they can for 5.5 furlongs. So, where I think if you stretch out the 2 turns, it's a different scenario. Take the back roads is a major player, and as you said, I remember that was your play of the day last time. Let's Be Clear, and she ran so well done there, and she comes out of a couple good races at Churchill. And then number 7, I do like this outside attack post for Leviosa. So I've got it 2, 3, 7, 6, one-sheet selections. I'll mention that too, and we'll update that for the website. So, first break here on the Wednesday Handicappers Report. When we come back, Mike and I will get into the teeth of this Wednesday card. Stay tuned.
A day at the track isn't complete without a night at the Horseshoe. Great food, hot music, and cold drinks. So why go downtown when all the action's just across from the track? The Horseshoe Inn at the corner of Nelson and Gridley.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Where's the best place to find your favorite teams, your favorite food, daily drink specials, and wagering on live horse racing? Legends Field Sports Bar, 711 Central Avenue, Albany. Get your game on day or night with 75 flat-screen TVs, tournament-style pool tables, a private banquet room, and live horse racing. So if someone asks you, where's the best sports bar in the capital region? Tell them Legends Field Sports Bar, inside the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
We are back on this Wednesday edition of the Handicappers Report, starting off week number 4. Beautiful day. Probably the best Wednesday I've had here in 5 years. It just seems always rain on Wednesdays, but it's gorgeous up here. We looked at a pretty solid week as well as far as weather goes, and that's definitely a sigh of relief, especially the way it's
you're a degenerate when your phone pops up and you've got the weather for Elmont, New York on there. That's pretty good. Yeah, look at this, 79, 84, 82, 81. So the weather, don't see any rain, so get yourself up here for a big week at Saratoga.
Take a look at race number 4 now. It's a one-than allowance race for state-bred fillies. Going to go a 1.125 on the dirt, and looked to be a coin flip as far as the morning line goes. It's been interesting to see how you had it in here.
Yeah, I mean, I've got it 6-4-2, and both Coffee Bar and If I Had a Chance are the 2 gals to beat, but I don't know, they don't have to win. And you look at Enough Love, she's been doing the open company thing out of town at Parks, and she's been running big figures on the sheets. And Coffee Bar, her comeback wasn't very good. I know it was 6 furlongs, and it was off a long layoff at Belmont, and you can argue she does want to run farther. She was very good in the Buzanda against solely 3-year-old fillies, though. Don't forget that. And it's Todd, it's Irad, it's Rapoli. I get all that, but I don't think her margin for error, Mike, is that much. So I put her in second. If I Had a Chance, as I mentioned, in third, and she'll be running on late, too, in very good form. She was a good second at the level, but she stretches out to 2 turns as well. And I thought Enough Love might get a little hitting up front if these 2 favorites tangle a little bit. entering the far turn, because if Luis Saez is on If I Had a Chance, he's not going to let him get away early, especially with this inside draw. I went with the Invader. I get a little class relief off the open company races. 6-4-2 for me in the fourth.
Got a 4-1-2 in here. Coffee Bar. I thought last time out, shortening up, coming off a little bit of a freshening, maybe needed that race and was clearly too far back. This horse likes to be forwardly placed. Now they're stretching this horse out from 6.5 to 1 mile and 1/8. There's going to be some speed from the 7, but I think Coffee Bar could sit a nice trip in here just off of the speed and may be able to get the job done here in race number 4. Going to be a short price at 6-5, but nonetheless going to be my top choice. Electric Youth. So your sort of clever horse looks to be the 6. Mine, I think, is Electric Youth in here. He's a horse that has never been on a dirt surface that's been dry. His first 3 career starts, including his maiden victory at Aqueduct, were over the slop. Then he caught a muddy surface at Belmont, and then the last 2 have been efforts on the turf course, and he really hasn't done too much. So they're getting him back onto his preferred surface. He's trying a dry main track for the first time. You're going to get Johnny V for John Kimmel in here, and he's got some figures that would be okay and solidly in the mix. So if you're looking for a price and you're not thrilled with the 6-5 or the 9-5 on the morning line with the 2 and the 4, I thought Electric Youth was a horse you wanted to use in here. Try him out, being on a dialed in. And then the 2 in the 3rd spot for all the reasons you already talked about with If I Had a Chance. Back-to-back seconds, been knocking on the door, now stretching out here an extra furlong. See if he's able to get a job done in here. And then start number 21. 4-1-2 for me, race number 4.
Race 5 kicks off the pick 6, and I've said it many times. If that's your jam, take note. It's $1 pick 6 now. They're getting about. They'll get 150,000 today, maybe 200 on just a random non-carryover Wednesday. It's a great bet. I'm so happy they brought it back. This is the first of 2 stakes today. It's a stallion series on the inner for 3-year-old fillies going a mile, and I'm going to have Kent Sweezy to kick off Racing Across America at 10 o'clock. He's got the one Fun While It Lasted, who had a little trip last time. How'd you see the stallion series, Mike?
Yeah, I'm glad you have him on, because he's one of my stronger plays. He actually is my play today.
Okay.
On the in the TU. I had it 1, 6, 5, and 3. And like you said, there are a bunch of horses just like last week with Ocala Dream, Step Dancer. They come
5 of them.
Yeah, there's 5 of them that all come out of the same race. So you can sort of make your assessment, go back, watch the race, see who had the trips, see who actually wants to go this distance, because they went 7 furlongs last time, now stretching on an extra furlong. I think Fun While It Lasted is the horse that you want. He sort of sat behind horses when he went to angle out. He got bumped pretty bad around the far turn.
Definitely did.
And then he was sort of grinding down the winner. He was clearly finishing up the best in that race. I think he's going to be ready to go. Jose Lascano's been on fire. He's been riding some really nice races of recent. So I'm going to put him on top. Big Time Lady, I think, is my price play in here. 6-1 on the morning line for Rudy Rodriguez. He's a little bit cold so far, but you have to believe he's going to heat up here soon. This horse had a little bit of trouble. Normally wants to be on the lead. I expect this horse to be forwardly placed. Last time out was sort of in that second tier, in between horses, sort of getting bumped around, not the place he wanted to be, sort of plotted out home to finish 5th. Has some back races, especially when this horse is forwardly placed. So I expect Jose Ortiz to be aggressive with this horse, and I think it's going to be the value play in here at 6-1. And then Sport Model is probably going to take all the money in here, looking for 3 in a row. Did win that race down at Belmont last time out, but I had the dream trip.
Yeah.
I just thought with some speed coming from the 8, there's also going to be some speed coming from the 2 as well. Maybe a little bit faster of a pace, and especially stretching out to a distance he's never gone before. I had a 1, 6, 5, and 3.
Yeah, Mike said it well with Fun While It Lasted. A lot of trouble last time. Like I said, I'm going to have Ken on to start that show. We're going to show that race in its entirety, too. So stay tuned. In about 27 or 28 minutes or so, we'll get that right off the rip. And there was a lot of trouble there. And like Mike said, she's the gal I think you want coming out of that race. Yes, there were 5 of them in that race. They were all pretty close at the line. Sport Model won it, but, again, Mike said it perfectly. She got the trip that day, and I don't know what kind of trip she's going to get today. She might suss out as the inside speed, but with Big Time Lady's going to be closer. I think she's Dirty Dancer on the outside, but Saez will be close too. I don't think Sport Model's going to get that kind of trip today, stretching out to 2 turns as well. So she's going to have to earn it. I'm with him with the 1 Fun While It Lasted. I put She's a Dirty Dancer in second because I like being outside of Sport Model, who I put in third. She's going to be able to dictate as opposed to getting dictated to, and I think that's advantageous. But I really like Fun While It Lasted in here as well. 185 in the Stallion Series.
Before we switch to the next race, what did you think Show Me the Honey? horse that also came out of that race as well. He lost the crop last time.
Yeah,
out.
I mean,
because you watched the race like I did.
Yeah,
he took a lot of money last time out in that race. So
she'll run on.
Yeah.
She might need a meltdown though. I think to get there. I could see
Right.
her kicking your try maybe, but I don't know if getting there for all the marbles is in play today.
All right, we'll take a look at race number 6 now. It's a maiden special weight for state bred fillies. Going to go 6 furlongs on the dirt. How'd you see it?
This is late pick 5 time as well, so take note of that. 3:55 in the PM, late pick 5. I thought Shamalama Ding Dong was a standout here, and she'll be a single to kick off this sequence. First time Kristoff, last time off a little bit of a layoff, taking over for Linda Rice. And if she runs that race back, she's going to win. There's no one in here that can run that race, and I would think Shamalama Ding Dong's going to go forward too. I mean, let's just, let's call it what it is, Mike. It's not a strong group at all.
No.
And she looks like she could be okay. She's going to be very, very tough at something, maybe 3 to 5 in here, I would think. I took a little shot with a price on the one Towering Orbit. Charlie Baker never, ever wins. I think he's 1 for 23 with first-time starters. But Joelle rode that day on debut. Now she goes, cuts back a little bit, but keeps Joelle. I would think she moves up a little bit. She'll be a price. Certainly Fancy Feline off the dirt debut. It was in the mud for Jimmy Bond and Luis Saez are printing money up here over the last few summers. 4 over the 1-7, and this goes back to my angle where I advocate singling the heavy favorite to kick off the pick 5. This is the spot I would do it, not the early one like we talked about.
Right. I have Shamalama Ding Dong on top as well in the spot 4, 7, and 3. And like you said, she draws outside the main speeds in here. The 2 and the 3 want to go. She sits the trip like she did last time out. She's going to be tough to beat. She obviously has the numbers in here. And again, this is a field that's completely inconsistent. And she's the deserved favorite in here. And like you said, potential single, not only the late pick 5, but that pick 6.
That pick 6 too, yeah.
So when you're sort of formatting it, maybe you can find 2 singles, keep the cost down, or be able to spread out in other races. She's one that you clearly want to use or consider as a single in those multis. The 7, Fancy Feline. I thought this horse was okay. Last time out, draw a line through it. It was on the turf course, getting back onto the dirt. This horse ran well down at Belmont over the muddy going 6 furlongs. Yes, it was against Empress of War, but it sort of lost all chance at the start, brushed the gate, was too far back. And I think she's the one you want to use in the exacta play in here, and you have in the 3rd spot as well. And then the 3, Empress of War. We're clearly against her. I have her in the 3rd spot. You have her outside your mix.
Sloppy debut.
Yeah, she ran huge. She was a big price that
30
day.
to 1.
Last time out, they tried her on the turf. She took a whole bunch of money. She sort of ducked in, didn't really do much running at all. Now you can say getting back onto the dirt, going in for a new trainer in Mike Naselli, who's 19% with horses going into his barn for the first time. Price is going to be a little bit too short for me, and I'll have to see it one more time with her. So I had it 4, 7, 3, and 1.
All right, second break on the Wednesday Handicappers Report. When we come back, Mike and I will get into the late pick 4. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the West. I'm Scott Varley at Saratoga's latest and greatest high-rise luxury condo. Starting in the mid-5s, every condo here has 2 bedrooms and 2 baths and upgrades, just like this. Check out these oversized private balconies. We also have a gym, a private lounge, and get this, a heated parking garage. To make a reservation for your private condo at the West, call or text me. I'm Scott Varley at 518-281-6808.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Come on.
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops. My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
Welcome back to the Wednesday edition of the Handicappers Report. Brian and Mike with you. We've got 6 down, 7 to go. Late pick 4 time. The featured Shine Again coming up in race 8, but the 7th, Mike, for this late pick 4 to kick it off, and in the midst of the late 5 and pick 6 as well, is a real beast of a turf sprint. It's a starter allowance. They're going 5.5 on the melon, and you and I talked during the break. Is a fun race and a lot of different ways you can go in here. I don't think you have to land on Montauk Daddy at 8 to 5.
I completely agree with that, and we were kind of mentioning, maybe singling the race before with the 4 Shamalama Ding Dong. This is a race, even though you're going to have 8 to 5, I think you may have to buy this race.
Yeah,
you have to go 5 or 6
race.
deep. Montauk Daddy is clearly going to take a lot of money. Some good back class. Last time out, finished a sharp second, but there is a ton of speed, and Montauk Daddy is going to have to hold that position on the rail to do so, because the horse likes to be poorly placed throughout the career. The 5 only knows one way to go. And the 9, Wild William, the only 3 career wins were going and getting on the lead. So I expect this pace to be fast. And we've seen a lot of times, you think when you're going 5.5, you got to be poorly placed, you got to be on the lead. We've seen a lot of closers coming from out of it, sprinting this 5.5. Everybody's sort of gasping for air, and here comes the sweep on the outside. And that's what I'm hoping for with the 11, Christopher, who's a horse that's been racing on dirt. A couple efforts down at Monmouth were pretty solid last time out. Finished a decent 4th in the starter allowance up here at Saratoga. Now getting back onto the turf. And the turf form down at Monmouth was okay. Yes, wasn't able to get the job done, but had a couple runner-up finishes. And if you're just taking a look at buyers alone, this horse has to take a slight step forward to get, to kind of get in the mix of the top horses here. But the price is going to be right. And Dylan Davis has been sneaky throughout the meeting. He had a couple wins, I believe, not last Sunday, but the Sunday before that.
Yep.
And this is a horse that's become from out of it. I expect a pace meltdown. And we're just looking for a bomb in this spot. I landed on Christopher as my top choice. The 8, who of the favorites between the 1 and the 8, I thought the 8 was a horse that you clearly wanted to have in your mix. Determined Fury, who was a horse that sat just off the pace last time out. I expect the same type of trip for West Point in this spot. Should be sitting just behind that first flight. He's going to be the one to take the lead at the top of the stretch, try to hang on for it as far as my sort of race scenario goes. But Determined Fury is a horse that you want to use in the mix, and then Montauk Daddy in the 3rd spot. Clearly going to want to go and hold that position. But again, I just thought there was too much speed in here. 11, 8, 1, and 12.
I think that's the key way to look at it. He's got to hold that position from the rail and from the hedge, and if that's the case, that to me that makes for a long day at the office for Montauk Daddy, because he's going to have to run hard for every step of this 5.5. And you mentioned Our Destiny. There's a dead send mission with Our Destiny.
I mean, he only knows one way.
Going. So yeah, Wild Williams only wired in his 3 wins, but I just think he's going to be spying from the outside. Second off the layoff. It didn't work out first time Kelly Breen last time, but that was a long layoff at Belmont, and I think Kelly Breen's a darn good horseman and does a really good job. You look at the bullet in the holster since then, and I just have the gut says, you know what, this was circled all along for Wild William, and he's 4 for 7 in the exacta here at Saratoga. He'll get first run on these deep closers in here, and he's going to be a number. I put him on top. You mentioned Determined Fury, and he might be the one that sits the perfect trip in here.
That's what I'm thinking. We both have in the 2nd spot, but clearly, if you're taking a look at the race dynamics and the setup, the 8's got probably the dream trip in our eyes.
Yeah, but here's the thing with him. I mean, he needed a maiden claimer 40 to break through last time. It was his turf debut, and he ran well, but geez, you look at him on paper, Mike, he's about the 8th fastest horse in this race. So, yeah, I think he's a big player, but 7 to 2 is an underlay. I would tread lightly with him if you're playing him in that win pool. I left Our Destiny around for 3rd because, like I said, I think being outside Montauk Daddy is advantageous. I'm going to play this more for speed because I think we're getting back finally to a harder and firmer turf course. And man, Mike's right. There have been some horses coming from off the pace to win, but boy, you run these 5.5s, you blink, you're on the far turn, and you're 7 lengths behind, and the race is over.
But that just goes back to our point. You may have to go 5 or 6 deep in this race because the horses you have, I had just outside the mix, and the horse that I had, you probably had just outside your mix as well. So, just try to survive this race in the pick 4s, pick 5s, and pick 6s, and sort of zone in on some other horses later.
I was chuckling to myself as you were talking about Christopher, who will be in my mix here. I wasn't chuckling at your pick, but it's like, man, I bought a racehorse. Really? What'd you name him? I named him Christopher. heck is that?
Yeah, that's so probably a family, some sort of backstory
I guess
to it.
so. I guess so. So, anyway.
Take a look at race number 8. It's going to be the feature on the day. It's the Shine Again Stakes. Going to go 7 furlongs. Real competitive field in here. Going to be odds-on favorite with Aunt Cat looking for 4 in a row. But there are some horses in here that can definitely run.
Yeah, you know what? I landed on Aunt Cat. I think I think she's probably the best horse. Stakes debut, and Bill Mott's trying to get her to the ballerina, I'm sure, in 25 days on that Travers undercard. But she's controlling speed in here, right? I mean, there's no one that's running with this horse.
that was the first thing I saw.
And I think that's. I think at the end of the day is what landed me on her. Maybe Saez is aggressive with Bayerness. I will say this about Aunt Cat: it's not like she's running fast early in her races. But you see all the ones there, and she streaked to 3 in a row. It was essentially a public workout last time, and I think she's in the right spot to take on Stakes Company. So I did put her on top. On her way is going to be a big number for Charlie Baker. You mentioned Jose Lezcano aboard Lexingtonian, as we talked about Lexingtonian, and Mike's right. Jose's been on a little bit of a tear. Good for him. I feel like he's one of those guys that kind of gets lost in the shuffle up here. On her way, ran a trio of 2s on the Thoroughgraphs in her in her prior 3 starts. Now she came unglued last time, but Charlie backed off. But here she is in a stakes. I think that's significant. 4 for 6 in the exacta here at Saratoga. And if maybe somebody goes with Aunt Cat, if maybe they hit a little bit up front, she's going to lay back and pick off some pieces late, and she's going to be a big number. Bayerness for Cherie DeVoe certainly has the form to be the main upsetter, and it's a loose term because she's 8-5 on the morning line herself. 2-5-1 in a good shine again, and it's a race that we've seen in the past. The winners can be a player in the ballerina.
Yeah, I had the same thoughts as you as far as trying to split the favorites in here. I had 2, 4, 1, and 6. Aunt Cat, for all the reasons we already talked about, does look to have a tactical advantage. I'm not sure anybody really wants to go with her early. She's cutting back in this spot. She's got a real solid work on July 24th, first of 29, 46 and 4. So she looks ready to go. She runs back to any of those races. She's going to be tough to beat, especially with that tactical advantage. The 4 Casual is my sort of interesting horse to use in here. Yeah, she's sort of been a bridesmaid the last couple of races, but it was to Chubwagon, who's still undefeated, 8 for 8. Just absolutely unbelievable. 2 starts back, finished 3rd, only beating a couple lengths to Edgeway and Frank Sprocket. Those are names that people are going to know. Done really well. And then another 2nd place performance, 3 starts back to Kamari. So I think she's one that wants to stretch out. Her career best performance was probably done at Churchill, going to 7 in her 2nd career start. She's got a 90 buyer. She's one that I'm hoping to split the exacta in here especially if Bayerness sort of takes a shot at Aunt Cat, gets a little leg weary in the stretch. Casual should be running late, so I had in the 2nd spot, and then Bayerness in the 3rd spot. A real solid effort last time out. Going to be going back to the 7 furlongs. Hasn't won at the distance, but a couple show spots for the number 1 in here. And again, you have to include Luis Saez at this point, especially if you're playing the multis in this spot. So 2, 4, 1, and 6 for me in the 8th.
He's awesome. I've said it. I think he's the best, and he doesn't ride the best. I just think he's tremendous. The 8 late double time here. It's a pricey optional claimer for the veterans. 1 1/8 on the inner.
My original thoughts were to try to beat NYC, and then I tried just tried to find different scenarios. And yes, coming off a long layoff is a sort of a red flag for some people. Maybe, needs to start in this spot, but NYC's just run some really good races. Yep. The workout pattern looks sharp. There's no one better with these 180-day plus layoffs, these long layoffs, than Todd Pletcher, who's just had a real solid meetup here at Saratoga. This horse has been facing the likes of Devamani, Olympico, would be real short prices in this spot. So I did sort of kind of come around to NYC. Think he's going to have a tactical edge on this group in here. Maybe either on the lead going this 1 1/8 or sitting just off the 5, who does want to go and get to the lead in this spot. So I did default in here to the 1 NYC. The 3 in the 2nd spot, Ever Dangerous, sort of been knocking on the door the last couple. Buyers-wise seems to fit in here. Real solid effort last time out. Is coming off a little bit of a freshening, and that's what you're going to see a lot with these horses. So your first thought with NYC, well, he's coming off a long layoff. Maybe he needs one. Well, the 2 is coming off of a long layoff as well. The 3 is coming off a little bit of a freshening. 5's coming off a little bit of a freshening. Sort of the recent horse right now is Bodie Cream, who's coming off of off the turf race. So there's some different angles you can go in this race. I had it 1, 3, 7, and 2 though.
It's my play of the day, the 8, Argonne for Jimmy Bond and Luis Saez. Mike and I talked about these connections earlier. They're just on fire 2 summers in a row up here. And I mentioned it earlier in the card, that second off the layoff where it says, you know, we're kind of aiming at Saratoga. And I feel like Argonne, that might have been the angle here. I know he was in the stakes at Pimlico last time, and his first start since August. In Pixelate for Mike Stidham and Godolphin, and Logical Myth for Joe Sharp and Eons, they would all be favored in this race. And I thought Argonne ran very, very well. Jimmy is a guy that aims for Saratoga all year long. And as you you tried to do, you couldn't do it, but you tried to say this is the day we're going to beat NYC. And that's how I felt. And I wonder if maybe he does get in a little pace tussle with Burning Bright. If maybe he's a little sharp and Burning Bright, you know,
he certainly has the numbers.
Pesters him from the outside.
Clearly to be able to do it.
Yeah, so
you know, do you think the price holds at 5 to 1, or do you think you're going to?
No, I think he's got to be a square price, because you mentioned Bodie Cream, who I've got in third. He's going to take money as well. So 8-1-7, it's my play of the day, and I just think Argonne, off that comeback, which was pretty darn good in and of itself, is going to move forward. You might be right. Maybe he's more in the 7-2 kind of range. You know, Limperator for Chad is 5 to 1, and he hasn't run since the Saranac, where he didn't run at all. So, yeah, maybe he could get bet a little bit more. But I'm going to take a shot trying to beat NYC. My play of the day, Argonne, 8-1-7 in the 9th.
Take a look at the finale in here. It's going to be a starter allowance. Going to go mile 16th on the turf. And one of our promos today is the bankroll that I have a little bit later on cutting in, and it's sponsored by good friends from Bonaventure Stables. And they have a horse in here, Claw Dog's Run. Yeah, Dan's in a tough spot, I think. I picked Claw Dog's Run, and last time, Dan Collins, I picked this gal last time, but I think she was in, we were talking, she was in for a 42L. And she drew
and
a
she
lot
was
better.
the rail.
She was one hole, yeah.
Now she's outside. It's a tough spot. 5-2, 10-4, 11 for me real quickly as we wrap it up. Kitten by the Sea, second off the long layoff. Todd Pletcher, Saratoga, Mike Rapoli. Go time today. Be up, down, inside for Jonathan Thomas. And then number 10, Ocean Air. I do have Claudia's Run in the mix. She's a B. Tough, though, to get her on top, I think, in this kind of race. Yeah, from that post. 2, 10, 11, and 8. Be up, I think, is an interesting horse. Hoping the price is going to hold. We'll probably go a little bit shorter than the 8 to 1 on the morning line. Career debut was very good down at Delaware. Last time out in Stakes Company. Finished a solid 4th. Against some good horses out of sorts who maybe pointed to the Saratoga Oaks. Caldee's also a horse that's run well in some stakes. So I think Be Up maybe a horse you want to use. The 10, Ocean Air, who you have in the mix as well. And then Claw Dog's Run. Like you said, draw on the outside post, disadvantage, but this is a horse that likes to sort of tuck in. She's in great form. One run, and she's been in really, really good form. So we're rooting for Bonaventure Stables in this spot. And just like you said, looking for 3 in a row, coming off a little bit of freshening. And you're going to get Manny Franco with George Weaver. So 2, 10, 11, and 8 for me in the finale. All right, one more break on the Handicappers Report. And when we take it, Steve Bick live with the DePaula play of the day. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Albany County, an incredible destination to live, work, and play, with easy connections to more than a dozen cities from our vibrant modern airport. It's a short trip downtown to a hive of culture and amusement, from world-class shows at the newly renovated Times Union Center to reliving the past at the New York State Museum. From outdoor recreation to shopping to nightlife, Albany County has something for everyone. We'll see you soon.
Birdstone is an outside front. They're coming down to the finish. Can Smarty Jones hold on? Here comes Birdstone. Birdstone surges past. Birdstone wins the Belmont Stakes. In front, but here comes High Chaparral. High Chaparral, the defending champ, to take it to Bob. These two arch rivals head to head with Joe Hart bearing down on them. It's going to be a 3-horse photo finish to the turn. Here's the wire. Photo finish.
The Capital Region has some of the most sophisticated horse racing fans in the country. That's why Capital OTB built the Clubhouse Race Book. Here you can wager around on the best horse racing from around the world. The Clubhouse also has monthly promotions including live bankrolls, handicapping contests, and so much more. Like sports? Watch your favorite teams on more than 30 screens in Legends Field Sports Grill. Food, sports, and the excitement of championship horse racing. Only at the Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
At DePaula, we think of our customers as family, so we want your experience to be fair and easy. Family owned since 1980, DePaula means quality and convenience, along with concerned and certified technicians. So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs. At DePaula, we think of our customers as family, so we want your experience to be fair and easy. Over $2 million in original factory parts means you receive the very best for any make or model. So come join the family and think DePaula for all your automotive needs.
It's post time for today's DePaula Play of the Day.
And here we are with a big simulcast, and it's a special DePaula Play of the Day, because in addition to what I'm going to give you, you got Pete Fornatel in the background, although I'm not sure if they'll be able, I don't think they're not going to be able to hear you, Pete, but believe me, Pete's in the background, and it's his birthday. So when you see him later at the racetrack, he'll be there late in the afternoon, buy him drinks, and I mean, let's be honest, Pete has people buying him drinks 24/7, and if you get him good and drunk, he'll invite you to his house, and he'll make you pizza in the backyard. Then you'll be staying with him next summer when you come, and then he'll be divorced, and it's a mess. The horse that we're looking at, I talked to the radio audience, who by now are back listening to Howard. The 4-horse in the 10th race today this is a very strange opportunity, I think. Honor Hop from Brian Lynch, and as I mentioned earlier, Lynch ran this Honor Code filly a mile and a half at Churchill in June against the boys. And she ran well. She runs back to that race, and she's very competitive in here at 8-1. And we mentioned, we were laughing earlier, you've got a crazy name pairing, Kitten by the Sea and Ocean Air. They're the horses to beat, and the logicals. But it's a competitive group. You get Johnny, who I think is going to probably be hard charging to start to post some wins. And I got a feeling you got the right horse in here. Honor Hop, 8-1, runs back to that race on the grass at Churchill and can win. So that's the DePaula Play of the Day. Best of luck, everybody. Happy birthday, Pete.
And there you heard it, Steve Bick with the DePaula Play of the Day, Honor Hop, and a really cracker of a nightcap. Tough race that Mike and I just went through, and he's right. Happy birthday to my good longtime friend, PTF, Peter Thomas Fornatal, and Steve Bick did nothing but speak the truth in that. You probably could stay with Pete for the summer if you go over and buy him a few drinks. Not that he needs you to buy him any drinks, but happy birthday to Pete, one of the great characters of racing, and my co-host to the DGDH for a long time, and one of my best buddies. And I've spent many a night over, I won't give away the address, but many a night over at Pete's place, pizza and spinning records and drinking probably everything but water. Yeah, happy birthday to Pete. You and I talked second time of the meet, correct? That Honor Hop is a play of the day. The big A tried her on the dirt last time, I believe.
Yeah. She was, I believe, 5-2 in that race. Didn't run well, but came back onto the turf. Second time, I think it's the first time ever, the DePaula Play of the Day. Twice with one horse during the meet, so hopefully able to get the job done second time out.
Yeah, a must use, and that is a heck of a race to end the late 5 and 4, and pick six as well, because there are several different ways to go. You mentioned Be Up. I've got that one in second. I like Kitten by the Sea, but prices galore in the finale. On a double stakes card here at Saratoga, the Shine Again, we'll call it the feature, but we've got the Stallion Series as well. In just a minute from now or two, I'm going to have Ken Sweezy on to kick off Racing Across America. He's got a major contender, Fun While It Lasted, who we both like.
I love her.
In
She's
that
my player of the day.
spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike Strong on her. I am as well. So we'll see what Kent has to say. I guess that's it. Kicking off Whitney week.
Yeah,
here.
just a couple
Somehow.
promos. Yeah, a couple promos to touch upon. Obviously, signing up for an account with us here at Capital TV. $200 sign-up bonus we have currently, where you can sign up for an account, deposit $200, wager $400, and get $200 back. And I always love to say at the end, there's no stipulations to it. It's as simple as that. You know, it's not given out in increments. It's literally just deposit $200, wager $400, get $200 back, and you have until the end of the month to do so. We have an online win-a-bet today. You can go to CapitolOTB.com. I'll have the bankroll, so I'll be doing some cut-ins today throughout the afternoon here on OTB TV, sponsored by Bonaventure Stables. Again, good luck to them with Claw Dogs Run, who's running today in the finale. You still have time to sign up for that. You can go to CapitolOTB.com, but I'll have $500, and I'll be betting it on behalf of the bankroll team. And then we also have a knockout challenge at the clubhouse. We have the Pick 4 tomorrow, the Bounty Bet on Friday, which is up to $904. And then the Saratoga Syndicate Special, which we went 4 for 5 last week when it paid $10,000. It's been filling up really fast every Sunday. Get involved with that, but it's a $1,500 ticket. It's a $50 buy-in for 20 people. So again, just a lot of promos and a lot to look forward to at your Capital TV.
There are some tracks that pay out 4 out of 5. I can't stand it, but I will say, it seems like every time you miss a pick 5, you're about 4 out of 5.
Yeah. I mean,
frustrating,
especially with the syndicate, because you have such a big ticket,
Yes.
right, for $1,500. Every single time we weren't able to hit it, it's been 4 out of 5. So, you still have the 5 out of 6s and the pick 6
Yes.
at Keeneland. So, you still see it once in a while, but everybody sort of steered away from the 4 out of 5s and the pick 5, probably for the reason you touched upon. If you hit it, you want the pool.
You want the pool. You don't want $8.90 or 4 out of 5. That's it. Mike goes, I stay. Racing Across America, kicking off Whitney week. I got Kent Sweezy coming up, Mike Welsh from the DRF as well, and then Tom Law from the Saratoga Special. Stay tuned. I'll be right back with Racing Across America.
You've been watching the Handicappers Report. The Handicappers Report has been brought to you by Pinnell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. The new Capital OTB wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with the new Capital OTB wagering platform. And CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State.